hearing it and kind of seeing the drop that's beyond it, it looks, like pretty big for the San Juan. So, delicate maneuvers. Look at this. Yeah, look at it. Oh, man.
Hi, I'm Len Nessifer. I'm half Navajo, I'm half Scottish-Romanian, with a PhD in engineering. And it's as confusing as it sounds. I used to work in government and academia, thinking I was saving the world. Turns out I was just wasting red tape, so I quit. Now, I'm pedaling up the Colorado River, the West's dwindling lifeline. Why? Because in 2026, after a century of mismanagement, stakeholders will renegotiate its future. This could be the river's last chance. So saddle up and join me. We're going to get uncomfortably close to the muddy reality.
Yeah, we got invited on this trip to join this group called the Returning Rapids Project, and they've been documenting the changes along the rivers that were once inundated by Lake Powell.
We can grab here by the dolphin, and we'll help lower it while they use this.
Yeah, and we'll use
we'll go down.
All right.
Is that helping?
Yeah.
That's nothing.
From Vegas, we've headed east to the Navajo Nation and the lowest part of the San Juan River for a 6-day expedition from Clay Hills, 40 or so miles down to the confluence with the Colorado, and ending on Lake Powell. Lake Powell, or the Powell Reservoir, is not a natural lake. It was created in 1966 by the construction of the Glen Canyon Dam near Page, Arizona, along the Utah border. Stretching over 186 miles, it flooded many significant natural and cultural sites, including much of this part of the San Juan River. But as drought tightens its grip, the reservoir is receding, and the river is reclaiming its course. It's a strange yet positive byproduct of a river that's struggling to meet its increased demand in a drying climate.
I ran it in '89.
Okay.
It was substantial. There was a chute on the right.
Yeah.
But it got bigger. My 17-foot boat was like that.
Oh.
I've heard this story, actually.
I'm with Returning Rapids, a non-profit organization who brings various scientists along to study this newly re-emerged section of the river in the hope of better understanding the impacts of damming rivers and managing the returning ecosystems.
Oh, I got you.
Come on, put your back into it.
1, 2, 3. Auxiliary drinks. Oh my God. There it is.
There used to be rapids there aren't anymore because the water slows down so much and the silt load is so high here that we've lost rapids up there. Most people don't realize that's an effect of Lake Powell.
Yeah.
And so here, once we hit this wall, we're gonna follow it for a bit. And then once we separate from the wall, we're in a new river channel.
Yeah, the silt load is insane in this river.
Oh man, yeah. When you, if you get your hair wet sometime this week, run your fingers through it immediately after and just like notice how thick it gets. Here was actually inundated by water. So like Lake Powell would have been here.
Yeah.
And it would have extended a little bit upstream there. And so that like adds to how much silt is gonna aggregate up here. But if you were to climb up high and look across, it'd be miles of these tamarisk and invasives that grow really well in the old lake bottom, that Domini Formation.
This river also represents my personal connection to this basin, as it's the place where my roots stretch back thousands of years. Its fate is intertwined not just with the ecosystem it supports, but with the cultural identity and history of my people.
Ooh. Oh, dude. Bottoming out.
On this expedition, adventure and science work hand in hand. Our journey down the San Juan River combines the excitement of exploration with the precision of data collection.
And the orange color is sand or rock.
I think this is kind of just part of the fun. Oh my God.
The San Juan River is a sediment-heavy river.
And then there are little tamarisks coming back that are like 30 to 20 centimeters.
Contributing as much as 20% of the basin's total sediment load. That sediment, which once deposited in the river delta in Mexico, now accumulates in the still waters of Lake Powell.
And then we're also cutting through an old river terrace,
creating a sediment layer over 100 feet deep in some places. If left unmanaged, this layer, which you can see around us, will cause significant problems for the reservoir and river system.
Let's get down, let's get boats landed at the ledge, and then we'll make a plan about stuff. Does that sound good?
Here it is. We just left camp, probably went about a mile or so downriver, and the river right now is out of its channel because of all the sediment that's been dropped by the lake. And what it's meant is that now the river is like now flowing over the landscape, and what it's created is like a pretty big waterfall just ahead that's impassable for boats. Zach, do you have an idea how big the waterfall is?
The waterfall's constantly changing because of backfill aggregation, so we'll be curious because it'll be different than when I was last here, so on the San Juan.
You should be able to cut over cleanly about 20 feet downstream of that debris pile.
Copy that.
So for those of you who don't remember, what we did last time was we unloaded everything kind of over by Chad's boat, and then we took the boats out of the water on roller tubes, went across this ledge over there up to that little red knoll, and then down that red ridge with roller tubes using an anchor over there. One thing I'd like to ask everybody always to be doing is be very conscious of this edge.
After an arduous portage around the newly formed waterfalls, we find ourselves face to face with one of the most visible consequences of Lake Powell's recession: the emerging sediment layer. A complex, ever-changing landscape that's been hidden beneath the water's surface for decades. What does it mean for the future of this river system? To get some answers, we're talking with Brenda, a geomorphologist who's been studying these formations.
So can you describe to me what you're doing here?
Yeah, we're collecting really high resolution location data. So just getting the topographic profile down, fat falls, down the falls.
I mean, can you tell me why we're here, why these falls are here?
And this is a fascinating place to look at some of the impacts of how the inundation of the reservoir into this landscape has really changed the trajectory of this river.
What's the hope about collecting this data in terms of looking into the future?
I'm interested in how quickly is this landscape continuing to change, right? How quickly is it eroding, or is it not at all? Does it look exactly how it looked over the last few years? In other places further downstream, we're trying to map where the reservoir sediments have accumulated and then how quickly they're evacuating as things are washing out and cleaning out of the siding. So just adding that time dimension and volume dimension to our understanding, and ultimately, hopefully leading to things like sediment management plans.
Oh yeah.
Brenda's research underscores the complexity of this transformation. It's not simply a matter of water levels dropping, it's a cascade of ecological changes, each with far-reaching implications. The question now is, how do we manage these newly exposed ecosystems?
So we're out here kind of doing some investigating, looking for some different fish species. Ideally, I'd like to encounter some juvenile razorbacks. We did, however, just pick up a walleye a minute ago, which is pretty bad news for this area. They're one of the more predatory species we encounter here. And so every one of these walleye we get is each individual fish makes a difference. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, good work, dudes.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Goodness.
The solar flare.
The receding lake levels are rewriting the rules of survival for the river's inhabitants as well. Now, as the river reasserts itself, these non-native interlopers pose a significant threat to the fragile balance of aquatic life.
What are we looking at here? It's a native razorback sucker.
Wow.
What's the Latin name?
Xyrochin texanus.
Xyrochin texanus.
And you said he's ready to mate?
Yep. Yeah, I'm gonna check for ripeness here in a moment, but you can see by the tubes, this is a male. It's ready. That's
tubing, huh?
Yeah, it's tubing. Yeah, so the tubercles are just kind of an indicator of the sexual readiness.
No, sorry, the fish, generally.
Oh, generally. All right.
Just,
Yeah, so this is one of the razorback sucker, and most of our work here in this portion of the San Juan River, or at least upstream from here, is focused around this fish. All the effort right now at the waterfall, the goal is to actually capture these fish who are moving upstream to spawn and put them up above the waterfall so they can continue that run. And it's been really successful so far. Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get this thing worked up and released again.
But here, there's hope in human intervention. It's a delicate dance of ecology and effort as scientists and conservationists labor to foster the return of fish that have called these waters home for millions of years. Each day on the river, the team disperses to document the landscape's transformation. Botanists catalog native and invasive plant species, while guides meticulously recreate photos from historical expeditions.
I think the one on the front and the one in the back match this face over here. Pretty crazy.
This challenging work aims to construct a precise portrait of the river's evolution.
Brenda, you want me to bring this stuff up?
We're sitting atop what's known as Zahn's Bay here. Down below you can see an abandoned meander of the river cutting through the sediment, and we just walked up some sort of road, mining road, wagon train road, up this anticline. Oh, probably a little over 1,000 feet. Part of what created some of these roads in this area was for mining gold and uranium and other resources. And yeah, there's just a storied history of people coming down here and mining this place for something. Yeah. It's a beautiful place.
It seems short-sighted to celebrate the return of one ecosystem due to the decline of a much larger system. Yet, the realities of climate change are numerous and complex. As drought becomes more prevalent and overall water levels in the system decrease, we must develop management plans for ecosystems that are re-emerging or transform as a result. What's happening here on the San Juan and the Powell Reservoir exemplifies how, as our understanding of these environments deepens, we must question past thinking. In this case, it calls into question the very necessity of large-scale reservoirs like Lake Powell.
When was your first time out?
On this stretch? 2010 is when I first did it, but it wasn't river here, it was reservoir.
In 2010, the reservoir was over 70 feet higher than it is today.
Like we were not on running, flowing river here.
Wow.
Yeah. So that means that all these willows here are from then.
We referenced the dominating layer, but could you talk about what that is?
Sure. So San Juan's an incredibly silt-laden, sediment-laden river. And imagine if you were all of a sudden to stop the ability of the river to flow, it can no longer carry that sediment and it all drops out. And over the 60 years of reservoir life, that's this stuff. This is all sediment that was carried by the river that was dropped out when it could no longer flow. So we call this sediment layer the Domini Formation. And we call that because the person that championed Glen Canyon Dam also was on record quite a bit saying we didn't need to worry about sedimentation. And so it's kind of, I call it the byproduct of mining the Colorado for its water. And interestingly enough, prior to them coming out of the water, a lot of the sediment and shoreline of the reservoir was invasive species because there was no flowing river here. But now that there's flowing river here, we see a whole different colonization of the sediment flats solely because my theory is the river brings its own life. The most recent environmental impact statement put out by the Bureau of Reclamation said that the sediment flats are inhabited mainly by invasive species. Therefore, if the reservoir level were to go up and re-inundate it, no significant harm would be done. Which, you know, you look around and this is all native.
Yeah, it's like the disconnect of where policy decisions are made and actually being on the ground. It's like there's the on-the-ground science that's being done here that's observing these things, but in some ways the policy making is a little slower than maybe what the science is finding.
I'm a little disheartened because we've had the science all along. Even back in 1922 when the Colorado River Compact was generated, there were scientists who were saying, hey, what you're doing politically does not match the science. And we're still seeing the same thing.
One of the challenges that I had when I was in academia is much of the work I was interested in was the idea of traditional ecological knowledge, and basically the way that knowledge system works is quote-unquote non-expert users going out, and it's just a mass of observations of everyday people on landscapes and coming together and seeing what's happening, and then, you know, from there making real-time observations. And whereas a lot of Western knowledge systems exist in silos, and in many ways, in the way our institutions work, is that the Western knowledge systems are more valued, and usually the TEK is only incorporated when it confirms the findings of Western science.
I share Mike's frustrations with the river's politics. This is my homeland, yet it feels so foreign. The Colorado River, the border of our reservation, was a barrier we couldn't legally cross without permission until 1912. The effects of these policies still ripple through our communities today. Just as the river has been reshaped by human intervention, so too have my people been disconnected from its past policies. In a way, we've both been erased from each other's memory. What we are seeing, like so many other areas in this watershed, is the need for a revised approach to river management. What does Mike see as the most pressing issues facing this stretch of the river?
What do you think the future of this river is in the next few decades? Where are we headed?
If we don't make any changes, that sediment delta is going to continue to move down through here. And with the continued lower reservoir levels, that means the sediment plug is going to move faster. And when it reaches here, the confluence of the San Juan and the Colorado, it's going to bifurcate the reservoir. It's going to make it so there are two different bodies of water, and then the whole San Juan River. It's not dead, it's forever changed.
What would be an ideal situation for that sediment plug?
I think it's no longer appropriate to ignore the sediment delta and how do we manage the sediment issue.
I think that's kind of when I was thinking about that, is like, you know, I'm in it for the long run, and bureaucrats change, policies change, and I think the persistence is one of the things that I think about. You know, this ecosystem is persistent, and I think we can learn something from that. Is like, if we're as persistent as this place to return to its natural state, a lot of good things will happen.
Yeah.
This journey has been a powerful reminder of how deeply we've altered this ecosystem. But there's still hope. Given the chance, nature shows its resilience, rebounding with surprising speed. And out here, stripped of academic titles and pretenses, we're reminded of why this work matters.
And that's the wrong way.
In the next episode, we make a tea time for a game of golf with one of the Colorado River's most staunch advocates, as well as meet up with a buddy for a scenic ride across the Navajo Nation.